Hi everybody, I'm Tara from Crooked Row, and today we're going to talk a little bit about composting. But a particular type of composting is quick composting and slow composting. Now there is 1,000 videos on composting, so I won't bore you with you got to have this much green and this much brown, because we don't follow any of that. We actually how we do our composting is we collect our kitchen scraps, and then we have a pile that is kind of close to the garden, and we started off with like the chicken bedding out of the chicken house, because that'll have like manure and things it's got nitrogen in it that'll cause it to break down pretty fast. But then we also feed our animals hay, and so there's a lot of times there's leftover hay, or sometimes we'll need to rake hay up out of one of our fields. Like let me show you the sheep real quick. So eventually in the spring, all that they're standing on right now will have to be raked out, and so we'll utilize that, but we actually had this stuff raked in the fall time, and right over here, which I'll take you back there in a second, is where we actually started our mound. So if you don't have anything like that, there's a bazillion and one things that you can start them with. Like a lot of people, you can start them with your leaves, get neighbors' leaves. You can start them with grass clippings, anything like that. And then you're going to want, I'm going to flip the camera around so that you can see what we utilize. So we just have like an old nasty bucket here that we fill with kitchen scraps. I mean, you can see a banana, I see a potato, celery, and of course loads of coffee. I'm not super picky about what we put in here. I just don't put in meat, which why would you anyway when we have dogs and so cats and animals that would eat that. I don't put in bones because I save that for bone meal, and I try not to put anything like fatty in, and just because I think it like makes it kind of wet. And then you walk over to the pile, and I'm going to show you what we do. And actually Chris is going to go ahead and turn the pile, because you do need to get air in there, and it does. If you don't turn your pile, it will still break down. It's just going to take a really long time to break down. And so even if you live in the suburbs, having a compost pile is so smart, because we throw so much away and then we pay the trash people to come and get it. Like, that doesn't fully make sense. So we try to utilize whatever we can, and we compost, and trust me, composting is where it's at for your garden. It's a fantastic way to recycle everything that you've been using anyway from your kitchen. And they make super cute composters and things like that, but we're homesteaders. We just have buckets laying around, so we wouldn't put something cute. Maybe one day I'll put something cute. When we redo our kitchen, maybe I'll have a cute composter out there. But for right now, it's in a white, I think that's a 3-gallon bucket. We fill it constantly. We take it out there constantly. We just dig a hole in the center, put the food in, and then a few times a week, my boys or my husband will take a pitchfork and turn the pile. It has to have aeration to break down. We need it to break down within the next couple of months, because that's exactly what we're putting on to all of our crops. There are people who take their animal waste and they actually put it into their piles. That's fine too. We have a separate animal waste pile that we do. Usually because animal waste takes longer. Like if you're turning your pile regularly from the kitchen and like whatever yard waste you have, that should break down in like, if you're turning it should break down in about 6 weeks. But the manure, like our cow manure, we give that about 6 months, and we kind of like sort of kind of try to turn that too. That's a very gross job. So let's head over to the pile where Chris is, and he can show us how he turns it. Here is our compost pile. It's right by it's right by our sheep, and our chickens come and they get out of where their pen is, and they like to come and turn the soil over. And as you can see, like there's some, my kids got rid of some lemons that we were using, and we also have sticks and stuff around here to break the water open. But anyway, this is where it is. We typically scoop out some of the middle and put in the food from this kitchen scraps from the kitchen. Right now Chris is actually going to turn it, so he is coming with a pitchfork and he is armed with a shovel. And let's get to it.
So when we're going to add compost to the pile here, typically what we do is we will dig a hole into the pile, and then we'll dump the compost into it.
Oh, the chickens are trying to eat out of it.
And so now I'm going to get a hole in this pile here. We'll cover it over, and that way it doesn't start to draw rats as it stinks. So you want to always make sure that you've got it covered over. And as you can see, maybe you can hear, chickens are already anxious to get into it.
Yeah, the chickens are already into the bucket. They love it.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Look, here comes all the girls. Well, and boys.
Sometimes some of the compost will stick to the bottom. And of course the chickens don't want to wait. Kind of like kids, they don't have any patience.
That's so true. Look how curious the sheep are too. They're like, what you guys got? We want some.
Anytime you come outside with buckets, the animals always assume food.
Yes.
And of course, a lot of times for them it is. Right? Then after dumping out the compost, we'll cover it back over. And so when we cover this over, this will cover up the smell of the food as it composts.
So you can see that Chris, it was over in this corner and he just turned it all over into this over here. And then the next time, of course, we'll swap back. But you can even see that it is extremely moist. And then we're gonna go ahead and put a tarp over that as well. Just so you want some wetness, but we've actually been having like biblical proportion floods lately. And so we're gonna go ahead and tarp it so that all the nutrients don't leach out, and in just a second. So there you have it. It's super easy. We don't worry about like how much percentage we have of greens and browns. We just kind of like watch the piles and kind of just really in the kitchen you can put in literally almost anything. I mean, I do my the the shells or the peels from my onions. I mean, we do things that you think that you would just pitch, like coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are so good, aren't they? They're good for the compost pile. The worms love coffee grounds. So if you drink coffee, do not throw those away. I mean, really, you can use just about anything. There are some do's and don'ts, but we aren't real big on the whole do's and don'ts thing. So please remember that right now it is the end of January. We're getting ready to go into February. You still have plenty of time to start a compost pile. And so if you live in the suburbs or even in an apartment, you know, because you still need compost, they make gorgeous tumblers and all these composters that you can actually use. Out here in the country, we can get away with, you know, these huge compost piles that we have to turn, but you can actually do that in the city as well. I know people who have done it. And so it just depends on, you know, what you want your setup to look like. But why pitch it in the garbage? I just think that it's such a perfect thing to be able to literally the best, most natural recycling that there is. So right now is the time to start your pile. If you have nothing, they do sell compost starters. I know Espoma has a compost starter. So just throw that in. Throw it in a bucket, throw it in your tumbler, throw it in, and we'll post some pictures of things that you can actually do. There's really neat inventions to make sure that you have great compost, because who knows what you're getting in the store, right? Yeah. Remember, if we can compost, anybody can. Thanks. Bye. Bye.